Hello everybody, welcome to this short video for anybody who is in ST1 in Chesterfield and is preparing for ARCP in summer 2022. I know a lot of you haven't had an ARCP ever before. There's often lots of questions around the process, and I'm hoping this short video might just help to explain the things that you need to do and answer some frequently asked questions. So if you are in ST1, as those of you who are watching this film should be, if you work full-time, you are required to have an ARCP before you have completed a year of training. So for most of you, that means that your ARCP would be absolutely must be done by the first Tuesday in August. But because we know that there are often problems and errors and things that are missing need to come back to, we always make sure ARCPs are done in June or July, which means if there is missing evidence that we need to ask for, you will have a definitive outcome and a permanent ARCP outcome in your portfolio by the time you go in to ST2, by the time you have completed 1 year of training. It should be reasonably clear to you what is needed by looking at your e-portfolio. And I'm just going to show you where you can look, because sometimes the issue is that people aren't quite sure where to be looking. And I'm enormously grateful to Ben, who is an ST2 on the training program, who has given me permission to use his portfolio so that we can look at where you would click and how to navigate around looking where you need to look. Hopefully you've all had a satisfactory first ESR, which is back in January, February time. So you'll be having an ESR. So the first thing is you need to look in your portfolio and you need to look for the date that your ARCP is due. And I'm just going to show you how you would find that. So I'm just going to share my screen. And looking here, you will see there is a little button here which says training map. Hopefully some of you have used that. It looks slightly different on your version, but there is a training map. Now, if you click on training map, you will have a little lozenge. Now you can see here that Ben has had his ARCP on the 6th of the 4th, 22. So that's when Ben's ARCP was, and his has gone green. You will have a grey lozenge, and when you click on it, it will have a date. So that is how you work out when your ARCP is. They're not all on the same day. They are all on Wednesdays. Some of them are in early June, some of them go on through to July. So it's really key that you check when your ARCP is, because you need to have had your ESR at least 2 weeks before that ARCP is due. So that's really important that you set that up. And if you haven't already booked your ESR with your educational supervisor, I suggest you stop this video now, log into your emails and send an email to your ES to book that, because that is really, really key to sort out. So thinking about the requirements that you have, and there's a few pages you can look for that. There's a really useful document on the RCGP website via 14 Fish, which goes through what you need. And we're going to come back to that in a minute, because actually what's really helpful is if you print off a copy of that form and tick off everything you've done and upload it to a learning log entry, that will confirm to you that you've really done everything that you need to do. But we're going to come back to the e-portfolio, because if we are here, main bit of the page, you will see that there's a button here that says requirements. Okay, now if you click on the requirements, scroll down and you will get a table with everything that you possibly need to get through your ARCP. And I'm going to go through each of these in some detail. So clinical case reviews, you can see there the bottom number at the end, the bottom denominator. You can ignore all these columns, just look at ST1, because you're in ST1. That's all that matters. You need 36 clinical case reviews. And you need to check that it really is a clinical case review. You can't write up a supporting documentation entry under clinical case reviews to boost your numbers. We will be checking. You need to have at least 4 mini kexes, COTs or audio pots. Mix of those, you need 4. You need a minimum of 4 CBDs. So you'll see here at the point at the end of ST2, this trainee had had 4 had 5 of the required here, 5 of the required here, 1 set of colleague feedback. You'll see there's a 0, there's no denominator. So leadership feedback is only done in ST3, so we don't need to worry about that. You need a CSR for every hospital post. It's good practice to get one from general practice as well. You must have those in your portfolio by the time of your ARCP, which means in your current post, you're going to have to ask your supervisor to produce a clinical supervisor report a relatively long way before the end of the post. That really is important. You do need to get that done. You then need some quality improvement evidence every year. So you need a QIA. If you've done a QIP, and a QIP has to be done in general practice, the QIP is the same as quality improvement. And you must do a general practice QIP in either ST1 or in ST2. It doesn't matter which year. It's amazing if you do one in each, but you must have some quality improvement evidence in every single year. You also need 1 learning event analysis per year. So that's like a significant event. It doesn't have to be any very high level event, but you must have a learning event in your portfolio, and we will be looking out for those. You don't need leadership evidence in ST1, but I'm hoping you will be collecting it as we go along the way. So that is that page, those requirements. I'm just going to think about some of the other things that you also need in your portfolio that sometimes people seem to slip up on. And one of the things that I think is really helpful is just looking, your portfolio is here to help you. So I'm just going to take you down and show you some other bits that I think are really useful and really important to know about. So you've got your KEPs page. If you've got a green tick, that means you're competent in that KEP. So it's really helpful if you've got those. Nobody's expecting you to be competent in all of your KEPs by the end of ST1, but the sooner you get them done, the better with those mandatory intimate examinations. We're also looking for other KEPs. So that's other naturally occurring observed consultation examination things. So a chest examination, and shoulder examination, and knee examination, a baby check, any of those other things that somebody's seen you doing, you can have those as evidence. And reflections on KEPs are really important as well. It's not just have you done the mandatory examinations, right, that's it. KEPs is wider than that, and all the information about that is on the college portfolio. This is important here. So you need to have your Form R. So you'll have been sent a Form R from the deanery. Please fill it in. You need a Form R. If you haven't got a Form R, you won't get an ARCP outcome that you want. You need your basic life support to be in date. You need level 3 safeguarding in children and adults. And I draw your attention to the wording here. So you should have adult and child safeguarding at the beginning of training. So hopefully that's all okay. You've done all of that. In every year, you need 1 piece of reflective evidence of safeguarding children and 1 piece of adult reflective learning. So that would be, you've been to a safeguarding course. That is the knowledge update part of things, but actually a case reflection on a safeguarding children case, on a safeguarding adult case. That's really important. It might be that you've been to a meeting, it might be you've been to a case conference, it might be you've been involved with that child, but it's really, really important that you provide that evidence there. I'm going to come back to this checklist now. So you can tick off, have you done your mini KEXs and COTs? Have you done your CBDs? Have you got your MSF? So 5 clinical, 5 non-clinical. Have you got a CSR for every post? You don't need a PSQ in ST1. Have you done some KEPs? Have you done 36 case reviews? Have you had a placement planning meeting? This is something that keeps being missed. You need a placement planning meeting for every single post that you do. So really, really important that that's there. Have you done a QIP? Again, if you haven't got around to doing a QIP, don't worry, you can do it in ST2, but it's helpful to have done that. Have you done some quality improvement activity? That's really important, and you need to do that regardless. Learning event analysis needed as well. Safeguarding. So you need your certificates and log entries, like I've said. Your basic life support, which needs to include your AED as well. Have you done a Form R? Is there a COVID declaration? And you need to write some PDP entries. So I hope that is fairly straightforward, fairly clear what you need to do. And actually, if you actually use this form and tick off everything you've done, and of course we'll come back here, you need to have done an ESR earlier in the year, and you need to have your ESR done before your ARCP. Any questions, any problems, please have a think, have a really good look on the college website or in 14 Fish or both. There's masses of information there. If you get stuck, then have a chat amongst the registrars. You can usually manage to solve your problems. If you can't, please go and talk to your trainer. And if your trainer can't solve the problem, then not unreasonable to drop an email to one of your lead TPDs. But most of the time, the answers are there on the college website if you go looking for them. Good luck with your ARCPs. My final thing is just thinking about ARC outcomes, because people get into a bit of a panic about these. So I'm just going to go through these very briefly. These are in the Gold Guide. They're also on the college website. So you are all wanting an outcome 1, which is satisfactory progress. You may end up being given an outcome 5, which means that some evidence is missing and we need to review things. So you need to look, after you've had your ARCP, you need to look out for your outcome form. And if it's an outcome 5, do the things that are on the form. It may be that your progress after your ESR is not satisfactory. And in that case, you will be referred to a central ARCP panel where they are able also to give outcome 2, which says progress overall is satisfactory, but there are some competency areas which require development, or an outcome 3, which means that you need additional training time. There is also an outcome 4. None of you are going to get an outcome 4 because you have to have had opportunity to remediate and sort out any problems and do some extra training before then. People panic. What happens if I go to ARCP? I'm thrown out of the training program. That is not going to happen at the summer ARCP. Good luck with everything. And any questions, as I say, look on the college website, looking 14 fish, ask your peers, ask your trainer. And if you're really stuck, talk to your TPD. Good luck.